Over the past 18 months, more than 350 million people worldwide have faced major power outages. And it's only getting worse. Did you know experts predict that by 2025, our outdated power grids will be 60% more likely to fail catastrophically? I'm not here to scare you, I'm here to help you get ahead. When the lights go out, being prepared can make all the difference, and it doesn't take a fortune or fancy survival gear to do it. With just 8 simple grocery items, you can keep your family fed, safe, and comfortable through any blackout. These are essentials you can grab today at your local store, no complicated planning required. I learned this the hard way during the Texas grid collapse. 3 days without power taught me one simple truth: waiting for the blackout is too late. According to experts, 2/3 of North America could face blackout risks by 2025 from extreme weather and aging infrastructure. But here's the good news. Stocking up doesn't have to be overwhelming. I've done the research and lived it firsthand. Stick around and I'll show you exactly which 8 items you need and why they're game changers when the grid goes down. 8 dehydrated fruits and vegetables. All right, folks, let's talk about a game changer when it comes to off-grid grocery items. Dehydrated fruits and vegetables. These little jars of goodness aren't just emergency food, they're a true lifesaver during blackouts or any disruption. And no, I'm not talking about splurging on those overpriced emergency food kits. This is a practical cost-of-food solution anyone can use. Here's a quick fact that blew my mind. Studies from as recent as 2024 show that properly stored dehydrated produce keeps up to 90% of its nutritional value for a whopping 25 years. Yup, you heard that right, 25 years. That's longer than most electronics in your house will last. The best part? You don't need some high-tech setup to make it happen. Seriously, just imagine taking, say, 10 fresh carrots and condensing them into a single quart-sized jar of dehydrated goodness. It's like turning your overflowing garden into shelf-stable superfoods. Now, why am I raving about this? Picture this. Last winter, when the power went out for 5 days, my fridge turned into a sad wasteland of spoiled produce. But guess what didn't spoil? My jars of dehydrated peas, carrots, and bell peppers. Better yet, you don't even need anything fancy to rehydrate them. A bit of room temperature water and they're ready to cook. Boom, dinner is served, even when the grid goes dark. But dehydrating food isn't just about emergencies. My family actually eats this stuff regularly. My picky eater of a daughter? She now swears by dried mangoes and strawberries, her go-to snacks. It's a win-win because these are packed with natural fiber and antioxidants, plus they're way healthier than anything you'd grab from the candy aisle. Think of dehydrated fruits as nature's candy, but without the sugar crash. And for all of you who are worried about space, here's the kicker. A month's supply of dehydrated veggies and fruits fits into one backpack. No joke. This made a massive difference during our last evacuation drill. While everyone else was lugging bulky coolers and managing melting ice packs, we were light and nimble. If you don't already own a food dehydrator, let me give you a little pro tip. Buy seasonal fruits and vegetables when they're cheap, dehydrate them at home, and thank me later. You'll save as much as 70% compared to going for those pre-packaged emergency kits. Plus, with the cost of pre-made emergency food kits skyrocketing, up 45% just since last year, this DIY method is a no-brainer. Oh, and here's something more from January 2024 that will make you want to jump into this today. Researchers discovered that vacuum sealing dehydrated veggies and keeping them under 75 DGF makes them retain vitamin C 3 times longer than the usual storage options. That's a huge deal. Listen, when the grid goes down and everyone is scrambling for spoiled perishables, you'll be thriving. Dehydrated fruits and veggies aren't just practical. They're flavorful, cost-effective, and an essential part of any off-grid survival plan. Trust me, when the blackout hits, you'll be thanking your past self that you stocked up. Number 7. The secret power of powdered milk. All right, let's talk about something most people overlook, but can totally save the day during a blackout. Powdered milk. Now, I get it. You're probably cringing already, imagining that chalky, bland stuff your grandma used to use. But stop right there, because powdered milk in 2025 is nothing like what you remember. It might just be the most underrated superstar in your emergency pantry. Here's a jaw-dropping fact to kick things off. While regular milk prices have skyrocketed, up a whopping 23% last year alone, powdered milk has stayed steady. Want to know what that means for your wallet? When you reconstitute powdered milk, you're looking at just 62 cents per gallon. Yep, 62 cents. That's about 1/4 of what you're currently shelling out for fresh milk. Incredible, right? But wait, there's more. Thanks to breakthroughs in food science, modern powdered milk isn't just affordable, it's actually packed with nutrients. We're talking 8 grams of protein per cup, extra vitamin D, calcium, and even omega-3s in some brands. A recent study in the Journal of Dairy Science showed that new processing methods are preserving more natural proteins than ever before. Imagine all that nutrition in something that sits quietly on your pantry shelf for years, ready when you need it. And speaking of long shelf life, here's the real kicker. Properly stored powdered milk can last up to 25 years. That's not a typo, a quarter of a century. All you need are Mylar bags and oxygen absorbers to lock in freshness. Keep the bags in a cool, dark place, your basement is perfect, and you're good to go. Think about it, 25 years without having to worry about spoiled milk during a blackout. That's peace of mind you can't put a price on. And powdered milk isn't just for drinking, it's ridiculously versatile. During the last power outage, I whipped up pancakes, creamy mac and cheese, and even yogurt using nothing but powdered milk and some probiotics I had lying around. Want to keep the kids smiling? Make some hot chocolate. My picky teenager didn't even realize it wasn't fresh milk. Here's my trick to make it taste amazing. Mix in a drop of vanilla extract and chill it overnight. The flavor and consistency? Perfect. Oh, and can we talk storage efficiency? A single 10-pound box of powdered milk makes about 40 gallons. Can you imagine trying to fit 40 gallons of fresh milk in your fridge? Not happening. But with powdered milk, you just mix up what you need when you need it. When our neighborhood experienced a 3-day blackout, I watched my neighbors scramble to keep their fresh milk from spoiling while we were completely stress-free. We just mixed what we needed, no refrigeration or extra effort required. Here's the bottom line. Powdered milk is affordable, nutrient-packed, incredibly adaptable, and a lifesaver when the power goes out. If you're prepping an off-grid grocery list, this is one item you can't afford to skip. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Number 6, salt and spices. All right, listen up. This could easily be the most underrated yet critical item on your blackout prep list. Everyone's out there hoarding canned goods and bottled water, but here's the deal. Are you actually going to eat bland, flavorless food for days on end? Trust me, it gets old fast. I learned this the hard way during the 2023 California blackouts. A friend of mine, Sarah, thought she was prepared. She had enough food to last her family 2 weeks, but by day 3, her kids were flat out, refusing to eat because, guess what? Everything tasted like paper. That's when it hit me. Your emergency food stash isn't just about calories, it's also about making that food edible. And that's where salt and spices come in. Salt isn't just the white stuff on your table. It's an essential survival item. Without it, your body can't regulate fluids, transmit nerve signals, or even contract muscles. Yeah, Harvard Medical School will back me up on this. It's that crucial. But salt also shines during a crisis. Beyond seasoning your food, it's a multi-tool. You can use it to preserve meat, sterilize wounds, or even whip up an electrolyte drink when dehydration hits. Here's the pro tip. Store at least 1 pound of salt per person and be smart about it. Go for iodized salt. Your thyroid will thank you. But we're not stopping at just salt. Now let's talk spices. Because taste aside, they're an off-grid powerhouse. Did you know that certain spices are natural preservatives and even medicinal? Black pepper, for example, contains piperine, which boosts nutrient absorption. Something you'll want in a survival situation. Garlic powder isn't just for cooking, it's an antibacterial champion. And cinnamon isn't just for baking, it helps regulate blood sugar, perfect for keeping your energy balanced during those stressful, snack-heavy blackout days. Now here's the real game changer. Mix 1 cup of kosher salt with a tablespoon each of black pepper, garlic powder, and dried thyme. Boom! This isn't just a seasoning mix, it's a food preservation tool. Rub it on meat to make it last longer when refrigeration is a no-go. I vacuum seal small portions of this mix and stash them everywhere. Kitchen cabinet, bug-out bag, even my car. You can thank me later. But wait, what about storage? Most people keep spices in their original containers and call it a day. Huge mistake. Transfer them into small mason jars with oxygen absorbers. According to food science research, this simple hack can keep spices fresh for up to 4 years. And here's a bonus tip. Label the jars with the packing date using a Sharpie. This tiny detail has saved me more times than I can count. Lastly, don't underestimate the emotional value of familiar flavors. During a stressful power outage, a simple cup of cinnamon tea or a meal with your favorite spice blend can be a source of comfort for you and your loved ones. It's these little things that maintain a sense of normalcy when everything else feels chaotic. Number 5, bottled water. All right, let's talk about the most critical item you need: water. I know some of you are probably thinking, come on, everyone knows water is important. But stay with me, because I'm about to tell you something that might blow your mind. Did you know that during the 2024 Texas ice storms, more people ended up in the ER from drinking unsafe water than from hypothermia? It's true. And the scary part, most of these situations could have been avoided with just a little preparation. Here's a harsh reality check. When the power goes out, you only have around 3 hours of clean water left in your pipes. After that, you're taking a serious gamble. And if you're one of those people saying, it's just temporary, I'll be fine, think again. Here's the kicker. Over 40% of U.S. water treatment plants are running on outdated electrical systems, according to the 2024 American Society of Civil Engineers report. That means a major blackout can pretty much guarantee water contamination. And guys, this isn't some distant problem. It's already happening in cities across the country. Now, FEMA says you need 1 gallon of water per person per day in case of emergencies. But guess what? They're wrong. Trust me, I learned this the hard way during a week-long blackout last summer. You actually need closer to 1.5 gallons per person per day, and here's why. You'll need half a gallon for drinking, half for cooking, because guess what? Your freeze-dried meals need water too, and another half for basic hygiene. And don't brush that off. When you can't even wash your hands or brush your teeth for several days, you're inviting all kinds of health problems. It's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. All right, so what's the best way to store your water long-term? Forget those flimsy plastic bottles from the store. They'll leak, crumple, and just end up being a waste of space. Instead, invest in 5-gallon containers with spigots. And here's the pro tip most people miss. Make sure they're labeled HDPE2 at the bottom. Why? The International Bottled Water Association says those are the safest for long-term storage. Even better, you'll save money in the long run. I crunched the numbers, and switching to these containers will save you about $67 a year compared to buying disposable bottles. Over time, that adds up. Now, here's where most people get it wrong: rotation. Water doesn't technically go bad, but after about 6 months, it can start to taste like plastic. That's because of a little thing called antimony leaching. It's not harmful, but trust me, it's unpleasant. My solution? Every 4 months, I use the stored water for my plants, pets, or emergency car kit, then refill the containers. It's quick. Takes maybe 20 minutes tops. Just grab a Sharpie, write the date on your containers, and set a reminder on your phone. Done. Here's the ultimate hack: a diversified storage system. Don't keep all your water in one place. Store about 50% in your basement, 30% in your garage, and 20% in another elevated location like a shed. Here's why this matters. During the recent California floods, thousands of people lost their entire backup water supply because it was all stored in one spot: the basement. Flooded basements mean ruined supplies. Diversify your locations so you're not caught off guard. Water might not be the most exciting survival topic, but it's without a doubt the most important. Start planning now, because when the next blackout hits, this one step could be the difference between staying safe and scrambling for help. Trust me, this is the one item on the list you cannot afford to skip. 4. The ultimate long shelf life proteins you need. All right, listen up, because this one is a total game changer. When the power goes out and your fridge turns into a useless box, you're going to need proteins that won't spoil. Trust me, I learned the hard way during a massive blackout last year when I watched hundreds of dollars worth of meat go bad in my freezer. Here's how to avoid that nightmare. First up, canned fish, the absolute gold standard of emergency proteins. And you might not know this, but sardines and mackerel are actually superior to tuna in protein and omega-3s, according to recent studies. The best part? They're often cheaper, too. If the idea of sardines makes you squirm, I've got a pro tip for you. Pair them with some crackers and hot sauce, both storage-friendly, and you might just find yourself hooked. Plus, with global fish prices skyrocketing and store shelves thinning out, now's the time to stock up. Here's the key to picking the right canned fish. Always go for water-packed versions over oil-packed. Why? The water-packed cans last up to 5 years, compared to just 3 years for the oil-packed ones. And here's something most people overlook. The water inside the can isn't just drinkable, it's nutrient-rich and could literally save your life in an emergency. But fish isn't the only contender here. Canned beans are the unsung heroes of off-grid protein. Think black beans, kidney beans, or chickpeas. These humble cans pack around 15 grams of protein, about the same as 2 eggs, and they'll stay good for up to 6 years. No fridge required. One huge mistake I see all the time? Storing cans in garages. I get it, it's convenient, but here's the science. Every time the temperature rises by 18 DGF, you cut the shelf life in half. If that garage of yours hits 100 DGF in the summer, guess what? Your food's lifespan is toast. Instead, keep your stash in a cool, dry spot below 75 DGF. Personally, I converted part of my closet for this, and it works like a charm. Now for a pro-level tip. Be a can inspector. Small dents on the sides, usually no big deal. But dents near the seams? That's a hard no. Those seams are like the vault on a bank safe, and if they're compromised, you're risking botulism. No thanks. The CDC reported dozens of foodborne illness cases last year from damaged cans, so don't take chances. Finally, here's the move that separates amateurs from seasoned preppers. Rotate your stock. Even if those cans say they're good for a decade, swap them out every 4 years. Use the older ones for camping trips or regular meals. I set a simple reminder on my phone and it keeps everything in check. During the last blackout, my protein stash made me the neighborhood go-to. When everyone else was scrambling, I was ready. Trust me, being prepared isn't just practical, it's powerful. Brie honey is your immortal superfood. All right, here's something you're probably not thinking about when it comes to prepping for a blackout. Honey. And not just any honey, raw, unprocessed honey. Look, honey isn't just food, it's survival gold. Did you know archaeologists have found jars of honey in 3,000-year-old Egyptian tombs? And guess what? It's still edible. That's right, honey doesn't expire. Now, imagine having something in your stash that lasts forever and does way more than just sweeten your tea. Here's why honey is an absolute must-have in your off-grid grocery list. First, it's like nature took all the best parts of a pharmacy and packed them into one jar. According to a 2024 study in the Journal of Food Science, raw honey contains over 200 bioactive compounds. We're talking antioxidants to boost your immunity, enzymes that reduce inflammation, and natural antibiotics that can help fight infections. That's why I call it a survival MVP. Let me hit you with a real-world example. During last winter's blackout, my neighbor Mike came over panicked. His kid had an awful cough and all the pharmacies were closed. I gave him some raw honey and told him to try it. The next day, his kid's breathing was noticeably better, and I wasn't just winging it. Research shows honey can actually be as effective as some store-bought cough meds. Yep, Grandma's home remedy wins again, but honey's uses don't stop there. When my blood sugar dropped during that same blackout, 1 spoonful gave me an instant energy boost. It was like flipping a switch. On top of that, honey became my go-to antiseptic for small cuts and scrapes. Its natural hydrogen peroxide properties make it perfect when first aid supplies are running low. And here's the kicker. Honey helped me preserve berries that would have gone bad without a fridge. Mind-blowing, right? Here's the deal, though. You need to get the good stuff. Those perfectly clear, cheap plastic bottles at the supermarket? Hard pass. Most of those are heated and filtered so much they lose all the benefits. Go for raw, unprocessed honey, cloudy, with bits of honeycomb if you can. Trust me, it's worth the extra cost. Store it right, in glass jars with airtight lids. And keep it away from heat and sunlight, and when you're prepping, aim for about 2 pounds per person in your stash. Why? It's not just a sweetener. It's energy, medicine, a natural preservative, and even works for wound care in a pinch. The ancient Egyptians knew what they were doing. Make sure you do too. Don't overlook honey. It could literally save you. 2 rice and pasta, the underrated lifesavers. All right, here's the deal. When you're building an off-grid pantry, there are 2 absolute heavyweights you can't afford to skip. Rice and pasta. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Rice and pasta? That's basic-level survival stuff. But hear me out, because these staples pack a serious punch when disaster strikes. First up, did you know that white rice, when stored properly, can last up to 30 years? Yep, that's straight from USDA research. The reason it outlasts brown rice is because it doesn't have the natural oils that can go rancid. Mind blown yet? Well, check this out. When Texas faced those brutal blackouts last winter, my neighbor Sarah's family thrived on their stash of rice and pasta. They whipped up hot meals on a camping stove, while most people were scrambling to find anything edible. The numbers back it up, too. 1 cup of pasta gives you 200 calories, and rice provides 160 per cup. When your body's under stress in an emergency, those dense carbs are pure survival fuel. And the best part? Both are crazy affordable. I recently scored a 20-pound bag of rice for $15 at a wholesale store. That's about 8 cents per serving. Pasta? I grabbed 24 pounds during a sale, enough to feed a family of 4 for a month for under $20. Now, storage is where the magic happens. Want your rice and pasta to stay fresh for decades? Here's the system I swear by. Get food-grade 5-gallon buckets, throw in 2,000 cc oxygen absorbers and seal them tight. Pro tip: add a few bay leaves, they're natural moth repellents. For pasta, vacuum seal it with a silica gel packet to keep moisture out. I've personally tested this. My 5-year stored rice still cooks up perfectly. Oh, and don't forget your water ratios. Write this down or laminate a card for your emergency kit. 3 cups of water for every 1 cup of rice, and 4 miscups for pasta. Trust me, you don't want to mess this up like I did during a blackout when I eyeballed it and ruined an entire pot. When the power's out, refrigerated and frozen meals become useless, but rice and pasta, they turn into absolute lifesavers. They're easy to prepare, loaded with energy, and will feed your family when everything else fails. Stock up now because these cheap staples could save you later. It's not just smart prepping, it's survival wisdom. 1. Hard crackers and cereal. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Hard crackers? Cereal? That's too simple. Believe me, I thought the same thing at first. But stay with me, because these seemingly basic items are absolute lifesavers when the lights go out. First, let's get into hard crackers. I'm talking graham crackers, saltines, and the wildly underrated pilot bread. These aren't your everyday snacks. They're like the Navy SEALs of survival foods. According to a recent study in the Journal of Food Science, properly stored hard crackers can hold their nutritional value for up to 3 years. Crazy, right? But here's the game changer. They also help stabilize blood sugar levels, exactly what your body needs during a crisis. That's not just food, that's fuel for staying calm and focused. Next up, we have cereal. Those individual cereal cups might seem overpriced on a normal day, but during a blackout, they are gold. Here's how this played out for me. During our last outage, my 6-year-old was on the verge of a meltdown. Everything felt unfamiliar and scary. I handed her a vacuum-sealed pack of her favorite cereal, and suddenly, it was like the stress melted away. Studies even back this up. Comfort foods can reduce anxiety by up to 40% during emergencies. But there's more to these items than just emotional comfort. Modern cereals are fortified with essential vitamins and minerals. Seriously, 1 serving can deliver up to 30% of your daily nutritional needs. When you can't cook or access fresh food, that's a big deal. Now, storage is where most people slip up. If you're buying these items, make sure to repackage them right. Ditch the original packaging and invest in airtight containers or Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Add a food-grade silica gel packet to keep moisture out, and store everything off the ground. Personally, I use a cheap metal rack for this, and it works like a charm. Pro tip: portion control is your best friend. Smaller packs don't just stay fresh longer, they also prevent waste. Those jumbo boxes of cereal may seem economical, but during a blackout, humidity will ruin them fast if they're left open. The takeaway here is simple. Hard crackers and cereal might seem basic, but they bring more to the table, literally, than you'd expect. They're easy to store, comforting in high-stress situations, and packed with nutrients. Trust me, planning ahead with these 2 staples will make any blackout feel a little less daunting. And your future self? They'll thank you.